Today we will discuss the role of the teacher as an inspiration for the students. What makes a teacher an inspiring leader or an inspiration for the students? What makes the teacher a role model for the student? These are the questions that we will briefly respond to in this presentation. First of all, some inspiring quotes related to the role of the teacher as an educationist or as someone who prepares students for life. So the first one is by William Butler Yeats, who argues that education is not the filling of a pail but the lighting of a fire. When you are filling a pail, you are active, but the pail is, or the container is passive. Generally, in this sense, education actually means that the teacher's role is that of someone who gives knowledge and facts and figures to the students, or who fills in knowledge into the minds of the students, considering them as empty vessels. But the role of the teacher as someone who lights a fire is something where it goes beyond just the filling of information and actually leads to inspiration on the part of the students to do things on their own and to achieve greatness and to use their potential. The second quote is also very important, where William Arthur Ward um, argues that the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires. Now, we see that in many cases, generally the teachers in educational institutions keep on telling. And so they are the ones who talk the most in the process of classroom teaching. In some cases, there are teachers who explain, and then there are other teachers who do things and demonstrate things. But the teachers who actually inspire the students to do things on their own, to become independent learners, now that is something that should be highly appreciated, because that actually makes the process of teaching learning active and the role of the student active, and so that the students become independent learners and lifelong learners. Then there is this other very inspiring quote by Krista McAuliffe, who says that I touch the future, I am a teacher. Here, the role of the teacher that goes beyond the present classroom teaching, for example, or their school role, into something that shapes and impacts the future of the student. So, who is that kind of a teacher? That kind of a teacher is someone who actually inspires students and shapes their futures. Now, here are some characteristics that I think could be associated with the role of the teacher as an inspiration or as an inspirational leader. The first one is a positive outlook on life. A teacher who has a positive outlook on life, who takes life as a positive struggle for productivity and for creativity, is something that is very important. A teacher who does not believe or in the positivity of life or in the positive energies of the students cannot be a very useful teacher. Similarly, dedication and enthusiasm are, like other professions, perhaps most importantly, dedication and enthusiasm are very, very important for the teacher to become an inspiration. Dedication will actually make the teacher work harder, and this actually shows that the teacher belongs to the profession of teaching, and they believe in their role as educators or as someone who are there to shape lives positively and to bring in positive energies into their students as well. Then the next one is professionalism. Professionalism is very important, and professionalism actually means that the teachers take their jobs as professionals. And so, in this role as professionals, they need to acquire sound knowledge and scholarships in the fields in which they are actually teaching. That is their subjects of specialization. They also need to have the skills and ability to to deliver that knowledge and to inspire their students to develop love for those subjects and ultimately to become successful classroom teachers. Then the attitude is again something that is very, very important for a teacher to become inspirational leaders. With a positive attitude, there is more likelihood of the teacher to become inspirational leaders. On the other hand, with a negative attitude, this is something that is not possible. Similarly, professional attitude is also very important. So the teachers need to have good knowledge of the profession of teaching, in terms of how to deal with the subjects that they're teaching, in terms of their dealings and their professional relationship with the students and with colleagues. All of these are extremely important. Empathy and compassion are very important. The role of the teacher is not just about someone who delivers knowledge or who just goes into the classroom and teaches, but they need to have genuine love and compassion for the taught or for the students. This is extremely important because young lives are, in many cases, entirely dependent on the outlook, the empathy, and compassion of the students. In many cases, just a word or two of the teachers can make or break lives of young people. So, again, empathy and compassion are extremely important for the teacher to become inspirational leaders. Perseverance and patience are extremely important. We know that teaching is a difficult profession. In many cases, teachers have to deal with very difficult situations in terms of dealing with their students, in terms of dealing with students who have behavioral issues, in terms of dealing with parents, or in terms of dealing with their very tough daily routine. In terms of dealing with frustrations that can arise as a result of possible failures of their teaching in the classroom. So, perseverance and patience, persistence, consistency are extremely important for teachers to become inspirational leaders or inspiration for students. And lastly, character. Character is very important. The teachers need to be ethical leaders, they need to be role models for the students. In many cases, or rather, we can say in most cases, after their parents, the teacher is someone that students, the young students, look forward to in terms of emulating, in terms of making them as role models. And so it is very important for the teachers to exhibit strong characters that can be followed, and so they can actually play as role models for others, especially for their students. So these are some of the, to summarize: positive outlook, dedication, professionalism, compassion, perseverance, sound knowledge of their subjects, uh, love for the profession of teaching, and most importantly, character. These are the important characteristics that turn an ordinary teacher into an inspirational teacher, or into an inspiration for the students who look to them as examples to shape their characters and ultimately to shape their futures.